Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin.
I'm Ryan.
And we're here to talk about toys. Welcome back, Ryan.
I'm here again.
We're doing Classifieds 3. You were here for Classifieds 1, the very first episode of Pegwarmers, and then Kieran came on and we talked about more classified. Like this line can't be stopped.
And I told you.
You did.
I'm like, this is where it's at.
I thought it wasn't going to make it. I felt like the designs at the beginning were a little too Fortnite-y, and it just wasn't going to get the traction it needed.
Yeah, you know, my thing is all these toy companies do all this market research, and they're all like, this, we know what people want. We did our focus groups. We did all this. G.I. Joe's dead. We don't care. We're moving on. It's got guns in it. It's all this thing. No, a good toy is a good toy.
Yeah.
And when you make good toys, people buy them. And that should be the lesson learned.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, so our news topic for today, again, relates to Hasbro and kind of G.I. Joe. Hasbro is doing a new 3D printed selfie series action figure. So you can get your head on a couple of standard G.I. Joe or Hasbro action figures.
Okay.
So if you want to have your head on the Red Ranger or Snake Eyes or a Ghostbuster, it's all stuff they already have. They have Scarlett, they have the Pink Ranger, so they're giving you some options. It's not like every single figure from every single line they do, but they have some options, and you're going to be able to take a picture of your head. I think it's probably a couple of pictures, and you send it in, and they're 3D printing it. They're doing multiple skin tones. They're doing multiple shades of hair. They're printing the details on the face. They look pretty good. It's kind of been an announcement they've been trickling out. I think at Comic-Con we're going to see a lot of news about it. But they've been working with a 3D printing company to develop the system to do this economically.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a vintage program that they did where you could get like a custom file card or a custom...
So there were mail-away figures years ago, like the Steel Brigade, where you filled out a form, you picked like your name and like your speciality and what weapon and stuff like that, what kind of personality traits, and they sent you a super generic figure, like a guy that every inch of his skin was covered, so it could be anybody. Right. And then you got your personalized file card that said, oh, Kevin Jones is a loner and he's good with a bazooka, like whatever 6-year-old Kevin checks off the boxes, right? And they've done it actually a few times. They did create a Cobra figure that way, and even in the early 2000s, during the G.I. Joe vs. Cobra era, they did a figure for the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, but that one they weren't as smart. They used Frostbite's head, so it was definitely a Caucasian male.
Right.
And I was like, they had this figured out in the past. But this is really cool that you can get you. Now, it's not your body. They haven't done anything to accommodate the fact that I'm a large person. But that's all right. I don't mind being a svelte Power Ranger or, Snake Eyes. But it's just neat to have your head in action figure form.
It's amazing that they're doing it with multiple lines, and it's amazing that commercial 3D printing technology has gotten to the point where they feel confident that they can do this right. Because that, 3D printing like just like regular like hobbyist 3D printing, like low yields, it's difficult to get it to stick sometimes. With the filaments, it's hard. This is obviously going to be a resin 3D printed solution. I've gone down, when it's late at night, you go down that internet rabbit hole and you're like, hey, I wonder what commercial 3D printers are up to. And they have like massive where they could do, multi-parts, and the software's to the point where you could have like 50 files and the software would automatically lay it out on the plate and stuff.
In their like promotional video, and even in this article, they actually show like a plate with 25 heads on it, right?
Yeah, so and they are resin.
And it's just the heads because another printer is printing the hair in a different color so they can, stick them together, and now you have the right.
So neat.
I mean, I think maybe some of the male hair might get painted, but like they show like girls with ponytails, like very intricate hairstyles.
Oh, neat.
Getting 3D printed and plugged onto the head and stuff. So it's it's a really cool thing if they can do it well. I can't imagine like if you do this and it doesn't look anything like you. So I'm sure they've done a lot of tests on like how badly can someone take a photo of themselves and still have it, be a good product.
Very easy for things to get creepy.
Yes.
When you're doing things like this. When I started talking to you about coming back on the show to do a couple episodes, I started getting my toy thoughts on, and I browsed eBay, as you do, and I saw a G.I. Joe Shark vehicle.
Right.
And I looked at it, and it had the little seat that comes down of it.
Right.
And the bombs or torpedoes, I guess, because it's, were 3D printed.
Okay.
In this. And the guy wasn't shy about it.
Right, right.
It was clearly 3D printed. And it really got me thinking for a topic for the show, like 3D printing as a way to bring back accessories that may have been lost or to enhance a figure and everything. And I think that it's a very interesting topic to think about as a toy collector, the options that are available to you and the files that people have made and all of that.
It's a very delicate topic, too, because there are people that are adamant about no reproductions. There's people that just don't care. They just want a complete toy. And there's a lot of things that it depends on your intent or like how you make it. Like the particular thing you were talking about is a shark. It was like a modification to the shark. The shark has a big open cockpit for this chunky deep six figure to lay down in. But in the cartoon, they always sat like two guys back to back sitting in it. So, people have 3D modeled an insert, right? So now you can, instead of putting two guys in there to just rattle around, now they have like a little seat. So that is a cool like add-on modification. There's a lot of fragile parts. The G.I. Joe hovercraft is famous for the vanes at the back that steer the air breaking. And I've seen people that have done castings of exactly the real ones, and I've seen people that have like 3D modeled ones that have different details where maybe to like someone that really doesn't know G.I. Joe, the last time they saw the whale was in the 80s, they wouldn't know. But anybody that's really collecting is going to go, yeah, it didn't have the G.I. Joe logo on the veins. Like, there's a reproduction. Like, it depends on what your intent is. Like, if I buy a whole bunch of repro weapons and put them in all my G.I. Joe's hands, and then something happens to me and my wife sells my collection, she's not going to know that all the weapons are repro, but you can really screw somebody over. They think they're getting the real thing. So that's where the community gets all its divisions. There's the people that are like, repro everything. There's people that are repro nothing. And then there's people that are like, if I want to display my whale with veins, let me display my whale with veins. Like, you can't get them. Like, they all broke. Like, And we did a whole episode of Pegwarmers with another guy named Mike Bro about toys that break. We talked about toys that just historically break. Those are the kind of toys that I think 3D printing is perfect for. Yes, the thing dissolves, the thing tears, it was so thin and tiny, it always breaks. Repro it, but maybe 3D print it in a different shade that like... like I said, somebody who hasn't seen the toy since the 80s, they won't know. But everybody in the know is like, that's the repro. And that's cool that you have the repro there just because it makes it look complete.
So with video games, we deal with this.
Yeah.
And lately, it's gotten crazy because prices are going up, right? So now to get those games that, maybe the game was $70 10 years ago.
Right.
So it was expensive.
Yeah.
But, if you wanted it, if you were that type of collector...
It was available.
$70 is like a reasonable collector price for a high-end item that you care about or, for something you care about.
Right.
But now that game is $700. Yeah. And $700 is a tough nut to crack for anyone.
Right.
Right? So you start seeing these repros popping up, but where it becomes a challenge is when... the repros are so good and there's a potential for misrepresentation.
Right.
So now, 10 years ago, you never saw a cartridge being unscrewed and them showing the board next to it in the eBay photo.
Right.
Now you see it all the time. But you're right. There is the potential for A, bad actors, and B, just ignorance.
And especially down the line, like I was saying, the example of like my wife, like in 20 years from now, when we have more and more of our collectors getting older and getting out of stuff or dying, people passing away, the people selling that collection won't know, well, I bought a repro and put it in, it's going to get harder. Like you could, if you buy Star Wars figures, everyone's heard about the float test. Like Star Wars weapons were one of the first things that got reproed.
Yes.
And people started dropping them in water because the repro ones sink or float, or like there was like a way of telling.
Yeah.
But eventually it gets too muddied. It's not just like, well, check your Star Wars accessories. Now it's like everything can be 3D printed or cast or whatever.
Yeah.
And as the collections get sold, like I could be honest with somebody and say, oh yeah, by the way, there's repro antennas on my G.I. Joe Mauler, but I know that unless I put a sticky note on the bottom of it, the next person that comes in for an estate sale or an auction, if they're not an expert, they're not going to know.
If it wasn't 3D printed, like 3D printed is very obvious.
Yes, 3D printed, you can tell.
But in 5 years, it probably won't be.
Right.
That's number one.
Yeah.
I think that there is a future, in a near future, that a 3D print will look as good as a casted item. And potentially use the same or similar plastic.
Right.
If not better. That's coming.
Yeah.
Because industry is demanding it for prototyping and everything else, and everything flows downhill.
Right.
Eventually, the super commercial one. Right now, the one that you can get, the hobby one, is as good as the super commercial one from 5 years ago.
Right. Eventually, there's going to be like vending machines that you like push some buttons on it and it like prints your thing.
Yeah.
And you walk away with it. You know what I mean? Like that's going to happen.
Yeah. So I wouldn't know. You could sell me, who collects somewhat regularly. I'm not crazy, but I wouldn't know those antennas were fake.
Right. And then and it becomes to the point where like everyone has to be this paranoid, crazy person of like, well, unscrew the GI, and that happens like you were saying with the cartridges with GI Joes. I'll unscrew it. Let me see the inside because Black Major and Red Laser are making these reproduction figures, and sometimes they make new characters, and I totally support that.
Yeah.
If you want to steal, bootleg, whatever, Hasbro's molds that they're not using anymore, and you want to make some sort of custom G.I. Joe character, I get it from the legal standpoint from Hasbro, it's not right, but like, if you want to make some cartoon color scheme custom figure that way and sell it, I don't care. But when you're making an exact copy, and it's real hard to tell the difference, that sucks because the people that have collected for years and have Starduster and the Goldhead Steel Brigade and all these other rare figures, and now you're just like cranking out ones and you're like, well, I'm not trying to deceive anybody. Look, I put the rivets in backwards. Not everyone knows that that's your thing. Yes, the people that collect your product know that, but to, Jim, who just got back into G.I. Joe after not collecting for 10 years, he doesn't know that,
And it makes everything more stressful.
And it just makes everyone not trust anything.
Yeah. It's tough. Yeah. But I saw that shark.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. I thought it was cool. There's characters sitting in there. It's the 3D printing. It wasn't the best.
Yeah, well, sculpting that stuff is tricky. Like, there's so many skill sets involved in that. Like the 3D sculpting, what the quality of your printer is, all that kind of stuff.
But I bet you could go on Thingiverse right now and find every bomb and every missile that, the common ones with the pegs in them. Like, there's so many.
There's actually some people that are doing scaled up vintage accessories for classified figures.
Whoa.
Which I think is really cool, actually.
That is cool.
Like if the they put out Croc Master and his whip doesn't look like the original one, right? Somebody will sculpt it in the correct scale, and now instead of you giving him the modern version of the whip, you could give him that vintage feel one. I think that is a good use of it. You're not reproducing to replace it, you're reproducing it to like pay homage to it.
Right. No, I mean that's awesome. And we're seeing that, obviously not 3D printed, but we're seeing that in like the new HasLab with the his tank.
Right.
They're saying like, there's demand for the old look
and the new
and a new look.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of crazy too. So I don't know. I saw that and I was like, this is a Kevin.
No, it's definitely a great
chat.
conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the kind of thing that could be a whole episode.
Yeah.
Just like, a panel of people. What do you have in your collection that's repro, not repro, And it depends on the type of stuff you collect. Like, I totally, even just the foam on the old Kenner Star Wars play sets. Like, the Dagobah Swamp has a little foam to put, Luke halfway in the mud. That foam disintegrates. Like, everybody either has an empty hole or they bought repro foam.
I think that it would be, we always talk about kids on the show, my kids. And so the cat's lair that's sitting in my parents' house is annihilated. It's like missing doors, missing this, missing that. I bet you my son would love it.
Oh, for sure.
If we took my cat's lair, brought it home from Oma and Opa's house, and I found all the parts online, and we printed every part, and we snapped them back in, and we made it whole again. That would be really cool.
Yeah.
But I don't think about that toy because it's so
beat.
Yeah. That it's like I'm not doing that.
Right.
But I would do it in the context of talking to my son about 3D printing, piecing it together. The whole experience would be awesome.
Right, doing the restoration.
I would have more fun doing that than combing eBay for the parts. Yeah. And, the last thing I want to say about the 3D printing is, you go to like a toy show and the guy's got bins and bins and bins of guns.
Right.
How would you even know?
Right. Well, that's the issue. That's the no repro people's mindset is you can't repro anything because we'll never know.
Yeah.
And I get that point of view. I can in my heart totally understand it. Yes, please don't repro anything because we'll never know.
Right.
But also, like, when you have 95, 98, 99% of the whole collection, but it's going to cost you $1,000 to get a little microphone for your heavy metal figure or whatever, like...
Wow, is that $1,000?
I don't. It's not $1,000, but it's $100. It's like $100. Like who?
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm gonna just get the repro one at least until I can find a real one. Like I'm gonna at every yard sale I go to, I'm gonna shake the mauler and hope I hear a rattle inside it and get a real one. But until then, like I want the dumb mic in there. Like I get why people repro.
Man, that'd be a cool story. If you went and shook it.
Oh, man, vehicles are a gold mine sometimes. Like, there's always some backpack, some gun. And that's the thing. You cross your fingers and hope it's like the rare accessory, and people do that all the time with maulers. Shake the mauler because you're hoping that little microphone's inside there. I've taken lots of vehicles apart over the years to find a marble, or to find an accessory pack weapon. But every once in a while, you find something really good. Even just the engine covers.
Yeah.
Taking those off, you'll sometimes find accessories.
It's like shoved in there.
Yep, kids just like tuck a gun away,
Wow. That's like a fun exercise.
It's super fun. I mean, that's like you go to the flea market and some guy's like, yeah, I want $100 for this box of Joes. You take it home, you're sorting through it, and you're shaking all the vehicles, listening for, something floating around inside.
That's so cool.
It's like a little lottery.
I haven't seen a G.I. Joe in the wild in a long time.
It's getting hard. It's getting hard for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready to talk about new to the collection?
Yes.
I brought two things with me, actually, and they both kind of relate to G.I. Joe. The first one, I got to give a shout-out to Mike Fleury. He's a viewer and a friend of mine. Ryan knows Mike also. At Too Many Games this year, he handed me a copy of the Super 7 Body Massage Edition Roadblock.
That's so cool.
So Super 7's doing these reaction Kenner Star Wars style G.I. Joes. I want to love them, but also it's like I really wish they were O-ring Joes.
The paint's weird for me. It's got like a
got a weird shine to it. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
But I like the comic or the cartoon coloring idea.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because there are a lot of differences between the animation and the original toys. But there are a couple of really classic "Knowing Is Half the Battle" PSAs that got dubbed in the early 2000s, the early days of the internet. And Roadblock asking people who's ready for a body massage was a classic. So this is hilarious, and I love it.
It's awesome.
There's no reason to open this because it's truly meant to be displayed, you know, as
it's
the full
way
work of art.
less cool without the,
Oh yeah, but once it's just a little accessory in his hand, it's so much easier to miss the joke, you know.
Yeah.
But this is really cool, so I appreciate that from Mike. And then the other item I brought is the classified Croc Master, which is pretty insane. I mean, the original vintage figure came with a little slug, you know, like animal pack Croc. I mean, it was decent size, but it was unarticulated, minimal detail. This is like getting a Croc Master accessory for your crocodile toy.
I will tell you that you go back to the first time we started talking about this, and I'm like, yeah, what about Croc Master? Imagine if he had the big crocodile and you were like, come on.
I just didn't think they were going to get this deep. I really thought they were going to do, you know, 3 or 4 waves, and it was going to be over. That first wave came out. We were excited as Joe fans. Yeah. But remember, like, Roadblocks just hanging on the pegs? And I was like...
he had the weird gun.
Yeah, there were, like, 2 versions of Roadblock, and both were sort of Pegwarmers. Like,
yeah. Well, they eventually rectified that.
Roadblocks got almost as many versions as Snake Eyes.
Yeah, right.
But the line really has taken off. I mean, in this area, the only classified stuff you can find on the shelves is Snake Eyes movie stuff.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's wrecking distribution or the other stuff is also hitting the pegs and just selling out instantly. But for the most part, every wave when it comes out just sells.
Yeah.
It's gone. So if you're not pre-ordering this line, you don't have it. And it's kind of a sad thing because I want G.I. Joe to be at retail. I want kids to be able to see it and find it and, like, a new audience to be into it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not seeing it on the shelves anyway.
No, and, you know, when I do, it's at, like, FYE.
Right.
Or, question, how do you say the name of that store? Is it FYE or FYE?
I say FYE.
FYE.
Yeah, and they say FYE because I was actually a consultant when they rebranded the stores.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my old, like, Action Figure Adventures blog.
Yeah.
I was there with the reaction figures, like, hey, at the very first FYE of the new style.
Yeah.
In New Jersey somewhere.
You know what's weird? The FYE in Willow Grove near us is like a toy heavy one.
Yeah.
But the one in Lehigh Valley has like way more apparel and music. It's like almost like that one's like almost the old style, but not quite.
Okay.
But then the one in Willow Grove is like 100% like toy.
Yeah. I wonder if they just know their market or...
Yeah, it's just weird how different the two are.
Yeah.
Because the one in Willow Grove is where I scored the Snake Eyes and Timber.
Oh, okay.
Right? So that's going to be one that I always check in on because maybe these they're hard to get.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, hopefully a couple months from now there'll be a Croc Master sitting on high and it'll just be...
Yeah,
just be this.
The right shade of blue, and you're like, wait a minute, I know that.
Yeah, maybe I'll get that one. You know, but yeah, I mean, collecting this in the early line, I had way more fun.
Yeah,
prior to the movie,
you had the hunt
because there was the hunt.
Yeah, and
I got almost all of mine at retail.
Okay.
There were some, you know, like the Supreme Cobra Commander, like to open up.
Which was an online thing anyway. But
right.
In the beginning, it was really like the Target ones were the only ones that were like impossible to get.
Yeah.
You had to hunt. It wasn't like you just walked in and there was a whole wave. But like you could get Duke here and you'd find Scarlett at the next store and Cobra Commander was probably in both stores. You know, like you could get them. And then, you know, as it went, then we hit that Cobra Island theme with Beachhead and the Cobra, and those were like gone.
Yeah, I mean,
the line's never been at retail since then.
Yeah, that was like the last time when you could get something you wanted.
Yeah,
yeah, because I bought the whole Snake Eyes line online.
Yeah, I bought it online too
because I was just like, fine.
Yeah,
and then I fell off, and now there's like bats and there's this and that, and
all
I'm like,
kinds of stuff.
Whoa! And I haven't seen any of it.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have bought it.
Yeah.
but maybe it's good.
Maybe it's good. Your way out of being sucked into this forever.
Right. No, but it's super cool, and every time I see it, I get sucked in.
So in June, Hasbro did a big Joe promotion, Yo-Joe June.
Yeah.
And every week they did a fan stream event and released more news for Classified and other lines because they're talking about new O-Ring figures and stuff. Yeah. But there's been a lot of new characters shown and just the HasLab His Tank. So I felt like it was time to do another one of these discussions about Classified. So we're kind of gonna go through each one of the figures and kind of talk a little bit about them. Do you want to talk about HasLab first or the basic figures first?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we should talk about the HasLab because this is like a big deal for HasLab.
The fact that the tank got funded in a day is nuts.
And it's not only a big deal for G.I. Joe, but it's a big deal for Classified in particular because I don't think that the Sky Striker had the fervor that this has.
It wasn't quite the same velocity.
Yeah.
Like they did do well. It got funded and it got several stretch goals. It didn't quite get to the end. I was really hoping for the ground crew guys, even though they're super generic, but it's like something new, something we never had before. But the fact that Classified, because as a hardcore Joe fan, we're always like, just give us the O-Ring. That's what we really want. Like, maybe it's not what the general public really wants.
Because how many freaking His Tanks has there been in like the O-Ring?
Tons.
Yeah.
And I get it, like not wanting to like why would you do a HasLab for a O-Ring His Tank? Like you can just buy them. Like you can get it in every color. There's red ones, there's blue ones, there's black ones. Yeah, because they've used that mold so many times.
Yeah.
But almost to the same sense, it's the Sky Striker's been done. Not to the level of the HasLab one, but there have been a lot of Sky Striker toys. But this is all new because it's a new scale.
You know what I love about this His Tank, and I love about a lot of the Cobra figures in this line, is that like the decadence and pageantry of Cobra really comes through in this, and the fantasy element. Like, it's not a practical military vehicle.
Right.
It's got like T-tops, like it's like it's very much like Cobra has like the swagger to it, like Destro and Cobra Commander. There's like this like evil organization chic.
We're gonna we're gonna take over the world and we're gonna do it in style.
Right? And the tank, especially the cockpit and everything, kind of really brings that home.
Yeah.
But then they do things like the rocket launchers that were one of the stretch goals. Are very like modern military, like smoke launcher looking things, which is kind of cool. But then we still get the turret. Yeah. The classic turret that is just very like laser blastery.
Yeah. Super sci-fi and
super
80s. Yeah.
Right.
I do really like that. So I was kind of talking about Wave 1 of Classifieds when I didn't think it was going to keep going because it was like everybody's got like sci-fi boots on and stuff. The tank has a nice evolution to it. Like it has a little bit of a redesign. Yeah. And I don't know whether that would put people off. I looked at it and was like, it's close enough. I kind of like that it has a little extra red detail on the wheel skirts and the gull wing doors on the roof. That's pretty neat. Like, it doesn't make sense for a tank to have a full airplane cockpit. Like, right. But as a stretch goal, which I thought was a good stretch goal, they did give you like a new skirt and the windshield. So if you really want, if you're that collector that just wants scaled up Joes, you can kind of just scale up that tank, or you can use the new cockpit and the missile launchers and the extra gun, and you can really deck it out if you want.
Yeah, and it represents some cognizance of their audience that I didn't think that Hasbro had. Yeah. Like, to be totally honest.
Yeah, to give you those options, the swappability of that.
I want to tell you, going back to HasLab, I log on there, and, usually I'm looking to see the classified figures that are sold out.
Yeah, yeah.
But, it would have been cool if I would have obsessively checked this website, right? Which is unfortunate, but I see like the, like Jabba's sail barge on there, and I'm like, I feel like that sat there forever.
Well, that was like the original. That was I think the first HasLab project.
And it's just, you're a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
So I guess that was that like Black Series.
Yeah, it's 3 3/4 inch scale.
Oh, but it's just big.
But it's and Black Series is a weird term because they make Black Series. What everyone thinks of is the 6-inch Black Series, but they also make 3 3/4 inch Black Series, but barely any. Like, they just do a few SKUs a year,
right?
But you can't make a sail barge for.
It'd be ridiculous,
right? And that's why like the Hiss tank works for this, like the Hiss tank or a Vamp or something like that. It's kind of the right size that it's big enough it's impressive, but not like we're making a classified Sky Striker like this. The O-ring Sky Striker is enormous. So how would you do that, right? So it's kind of the right size, and it's so classic.
I just have to say, a sail barge didn't do it for me. Did you buy a sail barge?
I wanted to. My credit card was compromised on the last day of the window. I had planned to order it.
Wow.
I think it was the universe telling me I didn't need it.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't get one, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I see them. I think it's cool. I wouldn't have minded buying it and been smart enough to not open it.
Yeah.
Because it's worth money now. But I wouldn't have. I would have reviewed it. I would have opened it up, played with it for a video, and then I would have like shoved it on a shelf and never thought about it again.
And then I looked at Unicron.
Yeah.
And I was like, it wasn't cool enough. I'm sorry.
Really?
It wasn't.
I think he's really cool.
It wasn't cool enough.
All right.
For what it was. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's me like building up Unicron in my head and like the animation and everything. I'm like, so like.
I mean, he's got a scale problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's enormous. It is enormous. But you can't make it big enough to scale with anything else.
Yeah. And then the Sentinel, it's like, I'm a Marvel person, but not a Sent.
I think there's a lot of people that have a very robust Marvel Legends 90s X-Men collection and just needed that Sentinel.
Yeah. No, I believe it.
So I get that. I think that's one of the smarter things that they've done.
Yeah.
I think more people, I mean, I might be biased because I'm not a huge Fantastic Four person compared to X-Men.
Oh, did they do
like,
Galactus?
Galactus, I thought, was a harder sell than a Sentinel.
Yeah.
But they did both.
Right. It's kind of the same thing.
Kind of the same. I'm sure they use some of the same parts.
Yeah.
Some of the body, like forearms or something.
That's interesting. But the Sky Striker I almost bought.
I did buy the Sky Striker.
And I don't even own like... Like, I owned a lot of Joes as a kid.
Right, but you don't have the O-ring Joes now.
I don't.
Right.
But I looked at that and I'm like, man, this is the coolest plane ever.
I've backed 3 HasLabs. Only one of which I have the product. I backed HeroQuest, which it was a game, so that was easy for them to produce. During COVID, I got way back into painting miniatures. Yeah. Which was like a middle school, high school hobby of mine. And that dropped at just the right time where I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this and paint. No. I haven't yet. I would like to, but I've already like fallen out of that hobby again. Like during COVID, I just had a lot of extra time and was painting, and I was like, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna paint it. It's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it's in storage.
I gotta tell you, HeroQuest is the biggest example of rose-colored glasses I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I got everybody together. It's like, we're playing HeroQuest. It's gonna be so awesome, and it sucks. Like right now with like. What's the name of the game? Like the Dungeons & Dragons, like Wrath of a Shardalon, Return to Castle of Ravenloft, all of that. They're so much better. Yeah. Like the modern, like, cooperative dungeon crawling formula is so much better and so much more influenced by video games and things like that.
That makes sense.
And like not limited spells and everybody having abilities. And there's just so many reasons why HeroQuest should have stayed in the past.
Yeah, well,
we played it for 6 weeks and then people stopped showing up.
Okay.
But 6 weeks isn't the worst.
That's a lot. I mean, think about as a kid, you probably played it every once in a while.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm going to get to these accessory campaigns and all of that. And it's like, no. But I backed that at the highest level, and I don't regret it, but I kind of...
Have you seen on Hasbro Pulse, there's a new accessory pack thing that you can...
Really?
It's like an Arctic one now with like a Yeti.
Oh, wow.
Like, and again, I'm looking at that going like, I should probably pre-order that. I'm like, I haven't even played my copy. I should stop.
And you know what's funny about it? When I was playing that with friends, people I was Zardoz.
Okay.
And I think that's his name. We'll go with that. I was the DM.
Yeah.
And every encounter, I'm like putting extra guys on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like adding people. I'm like fudging die rolls to make it like not a cakewalk.
Yeah.
And eventually everybody goes to me, they're like, you're not, there's no way those are the die rolls. And I'm like, just play the game.
Yeah.
You having fun? They're like, yeah. I'm like,
just play the game.
Just play the game.
Right.
Don't think about it.
Yeah.
I'm taking you from point A to point B and making sure that it's an experience. You know, if you kill the gargoyle by the time the pizza comes, it's not a good night.
Right.
Oh, you have to understand that. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, I guess I did get some mileage out of it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
But at the end, we were done.
Yeah, no. You know? I think that we had so much less experience with roleplay games and like complex games then that it probably seemed pretty intricate, but like just like games like Settlers of Catan have opened our eyes to like how fun a complicated game can be.
Right.
And video games and other, playing Warhammer has infinite opportunities to do things like that. You can make an army list and do whatever you like. So then to step back to a game that's so much more structured, it can be tricky.
Yeah. And I really think that the players they all chose to play the retro classes.
Okay.
And I think that the druid and the necromancer and the like accessory
stuff
classes had way more contemporary ability sets.
Okay.
But they would have rolled the encounters.
Yeah.
To the point where it was like, well, they're updated, but my orc still moves 3 spaces and rolls 1 die, so it's not gonna help.
So I backed Hero Quest, I backed the Sky Striker, and now I have backed the His Tank.
That's cool. So I can still back the His Tank right now.
His Tank is still available.
I'm gonna go buy one after this because I'm like, you're like telling me it's got this and it's got this. And
so the missile launchers were the first add-on. Then they added the there was a tactician option. So His Tank comes with a driver, driver, just like the classic vehicle, red armor, silver Cobra logo. They said if it got funded in like 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever the minimum thing was, they would throw in a tactician figure. Well, the tactician is just the His driver in a different paint scheme. Okay. So that's an easy thing to give you. Like you already paid for the mold for the driver. We'll redo it. But how is it interesting to the fans? They are basically saying that like we know that you guys, people that are really into G.I. Joe, love the fact that 3D Joes and some of these other guys have like collected all of the old drawings and concept art. And so Ron Rudat, who designed the Cobra logo and the Cobra stuff in the early days, he would draw like a coloring book version of the characters, photocopy it, and then color in with markers a whole bunch of paint schemes. And then one of the execs, the next level up design approval, would go, that's the color scheme we're using. So they have all these His driver color schemes, and the fans that buy the tank are going to get to pick which version is the tactician.
I like that.
So there's like a purple one, there's a red one, or a black one, So some of them really tie into the His Tank colors, like almost reverse of the driver, and some of them are really bizarre.
So the question is, does the new His Tank have seating for 3? Are there 2 in the cockpit and 1 in the...
So there is a seat in the cockpit, there's a seat in the turret, and there's a crew cab in the back for 1 guy and like a weapons rack.
Wow.
So the His 2, the original His Tank, the black one that everyone knows, had seating for 2. Had kind of like this hollow opening. In fact, as a kid, I would sometimes take the turret out and hide a guy inside it. Put the turret back in. The His 2, which was like maybe 89.
That is like the triple turret.
Yeah, it's got the bigger turret. It's gray. It had a troop compartment, a little thing that slid out the back. You could put a couple guys in there. So they're kind of using some features from the later one so that your tactician can sit inside the tank.
Yeah.
There's some technical details in there. And since this whole tank has like light up stuff, like the interior can light up and things, That's kind of cool. It's not something I personally need. It's like a feature that they're really pushing with this tank. It projects like a Cobra logo on the ground. It's cool. I don't know how often I'm going to take it off my shelf and flip the little switch and put it back to just go, that looks good.
You know what they got that from? My wife's car does that.
Yeah.
So she has like a Ford Explorer, and it projects ST because it's the ST.
Really?
It projects it in red when you open the door at night.
Huh.
And it's like somebody at Hasbro, like they own like a Mustang or a Lincoln or something, and they saw that.
I mean, it's a neat idea. I don't know what the purpose of it would be on the battlefield. You're really going to scare G.I. Joe because you projected a Cobra logo on
No,
the
it goes back to that Cobra swagger.
Yeah, it is.
That's what I'm saying. They're like,
here we come.
What are you going to do about it?
But so it's a cool feature. It's a similar type thing like Snake Mountain from Masters of the Universe. When that was first announced, Mattel was going to make it, and then they passed He-Man to Super 7. Originally, that was going to have like Bluetooth features, so you could do the microphone thing with it. And I personally was like, this is a collector toy. I'm not going to play with it. I don't need to pay extra for a Bluetooth speaker inside it. Yeah. So I'm okay with the lights.
I'm going to buy it after this. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to drive it on my desk, and that's going to be what it is with the light on.
Yeah. So the lights are cool. Don't get me wrong. I think it looks very neat. I would be okay if it was $20 cheaper and didn't have the lights, but it's cool that they're there. It's very cool. So you got the Tactician, you got the missile pods, you got the new windshield, and the different skirt. Then the next level, they unlocked a gunner.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my God, they're giving us 3 HISS drivers, like all the same old. Nope, this one's a female body.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I think that's something that fans have wanted for a long time. We did eventually get like female Cobra Troopers in a couple of the lines and things like that.
They've been doing that more and more, and it looks good. Like they've done a good job with it.
Yeah, and so this is kind of neat. It's a subtle change. I mean, it might even be the same head, like the same helmet, but the arms and the legs are a little bit more slender. The chest thing isn't ridiculously like feminine, but you can tell that there's anatomy going on. So that's a cool idea, and you could probably, I'm pretty sure the colors are identical, so you could make the female be the driver and the guy be the gunner if you wanted, or whatever it's your world. Go have fun in the sandbox. And then they all of a sudden kind of announced they weren't going to announce the last tier early. It was sort of like you unlocked tier 1, so here's tier 2. We'll tell you what it is. But when we unlocked the second to last tier, they're like, we're not even going to tell you what the last tier is until you unlock it.
I wonder if they were like, well, this is going so well, we have more budget for this.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is they're like, we know we're going to clear it. We could do better. And I think they don't want to have another like Rancor incident where like the fans are like, you're giving us cardboard, you're giving us like a 4th HISS tank driver. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what their plan was for that last tier. Maybe it is what they released. But people all along have been like, how come the last tier is a sketch and everything else was a 3D render?
It's like the HISS clown car. They just keep coming out.
Because I was actually worried that the last tier was going to be weapons for that weapon rack.
Yeah.
And while I would love to have weapons for the weapon rack, if that's the last tier, like, what a letdown. That's like tier 1 or 2 where, you can plug these extra missiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not over the top. So the final tier was a battle helmet Cobra Commander with the Mickey Mouse logo.
Yeah.
So if you're not a diehard G.I. Joe fan, in '82 when they first released the figures, the first however many Cobra Commanders that were mail-away figures came out, and the logo just looked like crap. I don't know what happened.
It has like gaps. It's unfinished.
Yeah, there's not really a clear story to like why it was that way and why only Cobra Commander got the Mickey Mouse logo. There's no like Mickey Mouse Troopers.
Right.
But a whole bunch of the mail-aways and the JCPenney exclusive Cobra Commanders had this goofy thing, and the fins of the Cobra hood don't connect to the eyes, and so the eyes look like a Mickey Mouse ear hat. That's where it got the name. Fans have just been calling it Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander forever. So it's going to be very much 82 inspired Cobra Commander. We actually have...
So I want to talk about that. So in the early line...
Yeah.
There was this one. This
Right.
is like the retail one.
The standard Cobra Commander.
Standard
from
Cobra
Classified.
Commander. And then there was one that had slightly different paint that was like the Regal
Right. Which
Cobra
was
Commander.
more cartoon colors, but still the details of this one, the like extra
Yeah.
pageantry.
Oh, and the things I had to go through to get that.
Yeah.
And it's like dumb.
Yeah.
Like just for an idea of how in I was on this when it came out. Like I have both of these.
Well, there's there's 3 paint schemes of that figure, right? There's the dark
and then there
blue,
was the
light blue,
late
and then the
release.
Supreme one.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is the 4th Cobra Commander, but this one is the first one that like feels like cartoon or version 1.
Yeah.
And it has the Mickey Mouse logo, so it makes me think eventually they'll repaint it with the real logo, so everyone
And
can
have
get,
that be a box.
so everyone can get the
regular.
Cobra Command they really want.
Yeah. So what's the price on all this? What are you in for?
Is it $200 or $300? I forget.
I would believe if it was 300. Like
I think it's 300.
Wow.
Now I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah,
What did I? So I try to forget.
See, this is what I did. I put Kevin on the spot.
I try to forget these things after I spend the money.
Right? You're like,
Yeah,
there you go.
the check will clear. Don't worry about it. Just
send
move
me
on.
send me my plastic.
Yeah, it's outrageous, but I think it's going to be really cool. I don't want to I don't want to shortchange the line anymore, but it might be the only like big Cobra vehicle we get.
Yeah.
You know, we have the coil cycle that came with Baroness.
Yes.
We have the
Ram.
The Ram. I don't know if we're going to get anything else at retail that's bigger than a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I was talking about I want like trouble bubbles and buzzsaws and
we were hearing rumors for a while. Everyone thought Mindbender was going to come with a trouble bubble. That was like a big rumor that was going around. It didn't happen. Maybe it still could, but like Mindbender's coming out as a Comic-Con exclusive figure. I don't know what his retail release is going to look like.
yeah. I want this line to get so crazy. We have all that. We have like the pogo.
The Pogo.
Right? That thing's a piece of junk.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But like cool small vehicles. There's a lot in G.I. Joe. Like the Ferret, the 4-wheeler. The Joes had the Armadillo. It was like a little green tank with 4 like mini cannons. Like that size vehicle, I think they could do at retail for 6-inch, maybe.
Yeah.
I get it. Once you start being able to house 2, 3, 4 figures, it gets big.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to probably see a Tomahawk or
Could you imagine that would sit on this table?
yeah,
like
the killer
this?
whale. Like these things are too big.
Yeah.
Right? They're just too big. Even for HasLab, they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited that they're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, if we have another 2-3 years of this, we might get another one.
Yeah, we could. Based on the success of this,
Yeah.
I would think that somebody at Hasbro is going to say we should consider doing another classified HasLab.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. But they also announced a bunch of other figures
Yeah.
that are upcoming.
Yeah, so with this Yojo June, we've had a ton of announcements. Some stuff has gone up for pre-order.
Yeah.
Some stuff is like still coming. And there's even things they've announced that like we don't even know what version we're getting. Because there's some
Right.
things there's no render. It's just like, hey, we're working on these guys. So what did you want to start with? Did you have something in
They
mind?
actually called it Yojo June.
Yojo June.
Oh,
Yep.
man. Right.
And
it's a good thing the toys are good because the promotions are.
And they sent out really cool 40th anniversary boxes to some creators. I guess I'm not on Hasbro's radar. I understand we don't do a G.I. Joe only show, but
the biggest G.I. Joe
know.
podcast shot in this room.
yes, the biggest G.I. Joe podcast shot in this room. Probably should have gotten a 40th anniversary box.
I think
just
so.
saying. But,
If I was in charge over there, I would have sent you one.
I would have sent myself one for sure.
Yeah, right.
All right. So one of the things that sticks out to me the most as a miss, personally, is the Blue Ninja set.
Yeah, this is like Red Ninja kicks back.
Yeah, so I was never a huge fan of the Red Ninja figure from the early waves. That was when they were doing the very funky, modern techno figures.
I was okay with it because it was like, oh, this is what we get. That's fine.
And I'm okay with it from that aspect. It wasn't like it wasn't really what I wanted from the line, but I was collecting the line. Yeah, okay, so we got Red Ninja. But then they repainted it as a Blue Ninja as if this is like a common thing for there to be like Power Ranger ninjas, like every color of the rainbow. There is some relevance to Blue Ninjas in G.I. Joe, but it's in the modern comic, and they're like specialized robot ninjas that aren't controlled by Cobra. It's like another faction. And these are not that. Is a male and a female ninja in interesting outfits.
This is where you want, like, this is where I wish there was more media integration.
Yes.
Because if there was a cool story with those blue ninjas, I'd be in.
Right.
But there's not.
Yeah. They don't match the story that exists for Blue Ninjas.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, okay. And I have never been all in on this line, even though I love G.I. Joe. I just, like, I don't need the Fortnite Snake Eyes tie-in figure. You know what I mean? There's just a few things. If it's good and it's new, I'm buying most of it. I probably have, 95% of the line. Every, like, normal retail release I have. Yeah. But something like this, it's a pass.
And
maybe
it's a 2-pack, too.
A 2-pack.
Like, that's a big ask.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at. And it's not really a true army builder because it's a guy and a girl. So it's not like, oh, I have this huge army of blue ninjas. I have 2 different blue ninjas. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't know. It just doesn't quite work for my collecting style.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to spend money on a similar figure like the Tomax and Zaymot are so much cooler.
Yes, I totally want those guys.
Yeah.
So we got a repaint, our first Slaughter Marauders figure of Barbecue, but they called him Mad Marauder Barbecue. Yeah. So I don't know if that's like an issue. We already knew they had Slaughter signed to be part of Joe. So I'm not sure if they just can't put Slaughter on like the package.
Well, we'll think about it, right? His people need to be getting money if his name's on it.
Yeah.
So calling it Mad Marauder, everybody knows what's
all the Joe
happening.
People know what's going on.
Right, but they don't have to kick up. Like, I'm assuming that they got some percentage of every Slaughter Marauder.
I guess. But, like, there was Collectors Club figures in the Slaughter Marauder colors, and it said Slaughter's Marauders when he wasn't involved. And now he's back involved, and they're not. It's a little weird. I can't wait to see the packaging and see if they change it or...
Yeah.
Not sure what the story was with that.
I don't think I need this one because it's like I have the barbecue.
Yeah, I think it's an easy pass if you're a light collector on this. I jumped at it because I had Slaughter Marauder Barbecue as a kid.
Yeah.
So I was like,
no, that's cool.
Yeah,
I understand that.
Covergirl. Covergirl is one of the... not the first, but one of the first females on G.I. Joe. We had Scarlett in the original year, and then they did a vehicle driver that was a female, which was very unique and unusual. Right. But Ron Rudat really pushed for female characters. He just kind of liked the idea of designing female characters and having them in the line.
Scarlett grew to be one of my favorite Joes. I think that she's the bright spot in the Snake Eyes movie.
Yeah.
The most G.I. Joe thing in the Snake Eyes movie. She was my favorite character in the first wave. Mm-hmm. She was my favorite character to play in the video game.
Okay.
The Operation something that came out that I thought was good, but the internet didn't believe
G.I. Joe Classified
thought
the video
it was
game.
good.
Yeah.
Right? So I love this. I'm going to get this
I think it's great. And so, like, Scarlett always got well developed in the media. She was in the cartoon. She was in the comic a lot. Covergirl never got as much screen time, so she's much more forgotten.
Yeah.
But she's a good-looking figure. It'd be cool if we got a vehicle for her someday, the Wolverine, but I doubt it.
She reminds me a little bit of the Black Widow, the Black Widow figures that we got.
Having like the holsters on both sides.
The holsters and stuff like that. Like, they're definitely like invoking that. I forget the blonde girl's name.
Oh,
who's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, the sister.
She was in Hawkeye and... Yeah.
I know who you're
kind of feels like that.
I could see that. They're doing a bat repaint. Crimson Bat.
Because anything Crimson sells.
Yeah. Well, so there's never been a Crimson Bat, just like there's never been a Python Patrol Bat.
Yeah.
But they both are like color schemes within G.I. Joe, so it's like...
That's a good-looking figure, man.
And everybody freaking loves the Bat. Like, the Bat is just so cool. So years ago for Joe Con, they did Crimson Vipers and Crimson Baroness and stuff like that. So this ties right into that. I have a feeling we'll see those Crimson characters that we've seen in the past to go along with this at some point. But it's another great way to sell you.
Yeah, it's been a while
figures.
since we got a Baroness.
We got Lieutenant Falcon.
Also, one that was mentioned in our video with Kieran, who said that Lieutenant Falcon was the character that he would most likely like to see. Where here it is.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Falcon was the star of the '87 movie. He was the hot rod, you know, to replace Duke. I thought he was one of the best action figures from that year. Like, I had Falcon as a kid, and I loved the figure. He had a shotgun. He had a backpack with a radio antenna on it. He had a little knife that fit in there. He's a cool figure, and I don't know for sure that there's any nods in this line to fans, but sometimes you do hear about, like, they'll try and sneak a Mosquitor into a He-Man line early because they know Pixel Dan is a huge fan of Mosquitor.
Yeah.
So, like, Carson from 3D Joe's, who's one of the guys that's really documenting the history of G.I. Joe a lot, his favorite character is Falcon. So I don't know if the Hasbro team was like, hey, we should throw Carson a bone, but I'm glad for Carson no matter what. He's getting a classified Falcon, and I think it's going to be a cool figure for all of us.
That is cool. I love this. I know you don't.
No, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Mindbender's cool. It's such a goofy outfit, but it's so classic also.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing like the faux leather cape. I think that's a really cool detail.
The accessories
they're really
on this
neat.
figure on Dr. Mindbender are some of the most amazing accessories of this line.
Yeah.
All these weird jars and the brain and the zombie hand.
So he's a Comic-Con exclusive. I'm a little nervous that he'll get a retail release later without all of the accessories. We'll deal with it. I'm hoping that the Comic-Con one is somewhat readily available. Like, you know how some years the exclusives are like impossible to get, and some years like, yeah, you just wait a day and you get them all.
Right.
I'm hoping to be able to get a
Look at
Mindbender
that pistol. It's right out of like
great.
the 1950s. Like,
so one of the things I'm glad about is that they are making him a little bit more of a combatant.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't just come with a probe thing. He does have a weapon. Like, he needs to be able to defend himself. You know, he's a Cobra bad guy.
Yeah.
We got Kamakura.
This is cool because, like, Snake Eyes is such a critical character, so having, like, Arashikage adjacent people that aren't just another Storm Shadow is cool, but I think that he's a very plain-looking figure.
He is a little plain. You know, he's just kind of like that green gi. I do like that he comes with the unmasked head because so many of those ninjas are just kind of like always shrouded in mystery. So it's nice that he's one of those characters like, we do know what he looks like, so show it off. For people that are only interested in the vintage G.I. Joe, Kamakura came out in the early 2000s. He was part of a Master and Apprentice comic series. Yeah. And then he got worked into the like Venom vs. Valor and Spy Troops era of G.I. Joe, and he had a figure in that. Yeah, a couple versions actually. So I'm glad that they're celebrating all eras of G.I. Joe in this line. Yeah. I'd rather get a 2000s character than like some weird sci-fi version of a vintage character. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want this more than I wanted Wave 1 Roadblock. Yeah. That's where I'm at.
That's cool. And you know what? These people who grow up with this are of age where they could be an on-ramp.
Right. There's fans from that era that, you know, have grown up. We've got the regular release Outback. He was already a Tiger Force Target exclusive.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, it had that.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're going to find a retailer to do Night Force exclusives with. Night Force was originally exclusive to Toys R Us in the vintage line. They haven't done any Night Force stuff yet. I don't know if they would hold it back for like when they run out of Python Patrol and Tiger Force to give to Target to replace it. Right. But I feel like there's so many characters, and you could just do like the Crimson Bat, characters that were never actually in Tiger Force. You could just do Tiger Force everybody. Yeah. So I don't know, but Outback is one of those few guys that has multiple sub-teams, and his Tiger Force one isn't even an American sub-team. He was a European Tiger Force member, not a U.S. one. So that's like a deep cut that they did that one already. But he's a fan favorite every time. Like, everyone just loves Outback.
He's cool.
Sergeant Slaughter. What a phenomenal looking figure.
Oh, it's perfect. The detail with like the rank, like the sergeant insignia and stuff on it. It's pretty cool. We never thought we would get this. We never thought we'd even get.
I never thought they'd make a deal again.
Yeah.
I love that he's like so involved in the fan community. So there's actually a YouTube channel, Sergeant Slaughter's daughter, and his real life daughter does like fan outreach stuff, and he's on her show and does stuff like they do fun stuff like watch the movie together and like do commentary stuff. Like it's neat that he's so involved with G.I. Joe again. And I didn't think Hasbro would ever get him. He actually had signed a contract with Valorverse, which is a toy line being run by a former Hasbro designer who's doing a G.I. Joe adjacent toy line. And they had a Sergeant Slaughter figure. All of us Classified fans went out and bought the Valorverse Sarge, thinking it's the closest thing we're ever going to get to a Classified Sarge. And then Hasbro made a deal. And in a very classy move, Bobby Valla said, like, hey, I'm really happy for Robert Remus that he can go back to being the G.I. Joe Sergeant Slaughter. It sucks for me, because he was part of my universe, but, that's where he belongs. So he was very, magnanimous about Sarge kind of leaving Valorverse to go back to G.I. Joe. But I think it's a super fun thing.
That's cool. I
hope we get, Slaughter's Marauders repaint. I hope we get the USA t-shirt version.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
they have a multi-year deal with them, so I'm sure we're going to get the repaints down the road. We got another Snake Eyes. I did buy this one again. So there is Wave 1 Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
There is the Fortnite Snake Eyes. There's the box set, the very first classified figure Snake Eyes.
Yeah, the version 000.
Yeah. There's the Snake Eyes in Timber set that you have where he has the goggles.
Yeah.
Now there's this set. So we're on 6 Snake Eyes?
But they're all kind of samey. That's
all very samey.
Issue.
When are they going to do, like...
Oh, and there's Snake Eyes, Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes, Snake Eyes.
Right, from the Snake Eyes...
Oh, yeah, the movie Snake Eyes. Right, Snake Eyes Origin. Yeah, for sure. I didn't even think about that one. Right, so, my gosh, 7 Snake Eyes is already... When are they going to do one of the goofy ones? When do we get Ninja Force?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Snake Eyes? Or which one did you have as a kid?
As a kid, I had the Snake Eyes that had like the gray vest and I had the one with the knives.
Oh yeah, which is an awesome one.
And I had the one that has like the bright like orangey accessories and the grappling hook. Right. What's that called? I don't.
It's just like the 1990 Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
91. Maybe.
I thought he was pretty cool. And then I also had like the tall one that came with the Uzi that made noise.
Oh yeah, the Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame one too. So, and that's kind of the same.
It's the same outfit. Yeah. Yeah, eventually they're going to have to do those because, my gosh, 7 Snake Eyes is already. But he's the face of the line. It's like having a Batman in every DC wave or whatever. Like he's the one that sells, so they're just going to keep cranking him out. Cobra Commander, Duke, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow.
Yeah, it's just weird that they did it with Timber again. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it was either people had trouble getting it or people didn't like. So that other set was a very 82 Snake Eyes, but with Timber. And so now they finally did the 85 Visor one, which is the one that came with Timber.
Yeah.
So I think they just felt like, well, the fans are going to want Timber with him. And the first Timber was a little gray, so we'll make this one a little whiter because it's a little bit more 85. Like, they know what they're doing. They're like, we'll give them what they want, kind of, and then we'll give them what they really want so we can sell it to them twice. You know? It was like the Tiger Force Outback and then regular Outback. Like, oh yeah, we want the Tiger Force one because it's the only Outback we have,
Makes sense.
So the final figure that actually was up for pre-order already was Tiger Force Duke with a Tiger Force repaint of the Ram motorcycle. This one went through the rumor mill for a while. I was really hoping he was going to come with the Tiger Paw, which is a 4-wheeler.
Right. So
they could reverse repaint it into the Ferret, because I feel like it's a vehicle that would scale and still be able to sell at retail. But I kind of knew in the bottom of my heart that it was going to be the Ram because they already have it.
Yeah.
So it's a Target exclusive. It's interesting because Breaker and Ram kind of became a peg warmer. They were hard to find, and then there was like too many of them all of a sudden.
That was the figure that most made me nervous.
Okay.
Because I saw it for a while, and I'm like, is this going to get clearanced out?
Yeah. So it makes me wonder whether retailers are going to get nervous about these motorcycle packs or not. I'm hoping not. Like I said, I want this brand to do well. I want G.I. Joe to do big things. But this is fun. I like I like the sub teams. They're a little bit goofy. They're a little bit fun. So the Ram's one of my favorite vehicles. So it's cool. I
like it. He's cool, and it's a great Duke. Like, like so. Dukes in this line, we just have the original one, right? And then like the late repaint of it that's a little less.
Yeah, the slight change.
The slight change. But we never got like the Duke with like the button down shirt, like the...
No, like cartoon, pure cartoon. The original one is close. It's like waist up, cartoon Duke, and waist down as the Fortnite boots and stuff. There's a lot of different Dukes out there, though. Like, Duke was one of those characters that got reissued every so often. So we had the original Duke, then they did the Tiger Force one. There was one that was like a desert guy, but had kind of red camo spots. Yeah. Then they did a true, like, Desert Storm brown camo.
Yeah.
He had a Star Brigade figure and an armor tech, like, when they got into the really goofy stuff. So there's a lot of Dukes out there, but the Duke that everybody really loves is that cartoon first issue figure. So I don't know if they'll go back and kind of do that, or if they just know that, like, Wave 1 Duke is close enough. I wonder about it with Scarlett, too. Like, will they go back and do, like, a more true original O-ring Scarlett in this line? Because the one they did is great. I like her a lot. Actually, I think she's one of the best ones from that first wave, where the sci-fi-ness kind of works for her. But I could easily see, because she's so popular, that they want to do more, and I don't know if the Ninja Force one is a super safe bet. I mean, it'll sell, but, I could see them doing a more 82 version before that.
That would be good. Still want to see. There's no Hawk.
Still no Hawk.
That's like the only one that we talked about in the original episode.
Yeah.
That hasn't come to be.
It's true.
Yeah. I think we need General Hawk. I would take any version. I would take the one where he's got the flight suit.
Yeah.
I would take the one where he's got like the hat.
Oh yeah, the Talking Commander.
The Talking Commander one, that would be cool, and I would take a classic one as well.
So the other thing that people thought might come from HasLab before the His Tank was officially revealed, the teaser video for it only had like a tank tread sound to it. And so there were a few people pushing. Most people thought it was the His Tank because it's probably the most famous tank in JoJo. But there was a few people pushing for the Triple T, the little tank that Sarge drives, because they had just announced they got Sarge. So it was like, oh, well, maybe they do it. If they did another HasLab, I know that's probably not the most popular one, but if they could somehow do it for retail, because it's not a huge vehicle, the Triple T really does have a lot of reuse value. Yes. The original Triple T, the little white golf cart thing that people make jokes about all the time, his little tank came out in white, and that came with the first Sarge figure. It was also repainted as the Night Raider for Night Force.
Right.
But it also would look really good in the Slaughter Marauder camo.
My problem with the Triple T, and I was thinking about it the whole time we were talking about Sergeant Slaughter, I was thinking about the Triple T.
Okay.
Is like, it's kind of like a do-nothing vehicle. It's got one seat.
It's got little guns on the side.
It's got little guns on the side.
It really is.
And one seat. It's like...
It's a motorized wheelchair.
Give me a Vamp.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
I think the Vamp makes the most sense if they do a second... Like, really, if you go, what are the most classic G.I. Joe vehicles?
Yeah.
It is His Tank, Vamp, Sky Striker. And like we said, the Sky Striker's already just too big. I really think the Vamp is the way to go. Especially because they could repaint it if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how nice that would be if they did like a HasLab for the Vamp and then do a follow-up one, but cheaper because it's not going to cost as much to produce the Stinger, right? Like, here's the, we're paying $150 or $200, whatever, for the Vamp, and now, 2 years later, here's the $120 Stinger, right? Because you're just gonna mold a couple new things for it, and so like that would be nice. It probably would still be the same cost, but
Yeah, my favorite Vamp is like the Mail Away the Desert.
Yeah,
one.
the Vamp Mark II.
Yeah,
yeah. But the Vamp, like that body, you have the Vamp, you have the Stinger, the black one. You have the Vamp Mark II, which is brown. You have the Tiger Sting, which is the Tiger Force repaint of the Vamp II. Like, there's so many options with it.
So you could do like a Comic-Con or like some type of exclusive with like the Tiger Force one, and
and even that would be a cool way of doing it. Like, you do the Hasbro Pulse HasLab to get the mold. And then, yeah, you never even have to put it at retail, but you just make it like, you know, Big Bad Toy Store or Target.com or somebody is selling this repaint of it. And then somebody, you know, space it out so people's pocketbooks can rehab, but then, you know, do another repaint of it.
And they're like, if you only get two, they're kind of like two good bookends of the line.
Yeah.
You have the Hiss tank on one side
And the Vamp.
and the Vamp on the other side. And it's just very like G.I. Joe Cobra, exactly what you want.
Exactly what you think.
Yeah.
Like the things that pop in your head, very, you know, first thoughts.
Yeah.
Vamp. Yes. Yep. No, I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
So lots of new stuff going on with G.I. Joe. I hope this line just keeps on trucking. You mentioned Hawk. I'm going to throw out, I think I got to go with somebody from 86 because that's my favorite year of G.I. Joe. Sci-Fi keeps popping into my head, but he's so weird nobody likes him. I think they did the Troopers and stuff from that year. Yeah, Hawk is an 86 guy. What about like Iceberg or somebody like that? We don't have a lot of the polar guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Iceberg. I feel like he doesn't get enough love. Because Snow Job is always like the go-to Snow Joe.
Right.
So I'm thinking Iceberg. I'm gonna root for Iceberg. The other characters that they have announced that they are working on but haven't shown nothing for is Tunnel Rat.
Okay.
Shipwreck. Such a classic character.
That's cool.
Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Torpedo. And Copperhead.
The Rock and Roll, which way are they going?
We don't know.
With it?
I think people are hoping version 2, which is like
With
the Gatling
guns?
gun.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's the one that I had.
they really have not done a lot of the green shirts.
Yeah.
You know, the original figures. So I think version 2 might be the smart way to do it. Tunnel Rat is probably going to be the normal Tunnel Rat, although there is Night Force, there is a European Tiger Force version, there is a Sonic Fighter, but like, you know, classic Tunnel Rat's probably the way to go. Shipwreck, 90% of the people are thinking it's going to be the, you know, the sailor version from the cartoon. But there is a, like, sweater and beanie version that was, like, from the comics from the 2000s that's kind of popular. There's also a Navy diver version of him. Yeah. But we're probably getting that cartoony Shipwreck and Polly.
The blue,
Torpedo, you know, the original version of him was, you know, in a wetsuit. That's probably what we're going to get, although in the 2000s, they did do a more, like, land-based Navy SEAL version of him. So you never know, but probably he'll have the flippers and everything.
Right.
He could be cool in this scale where you could actually maybe take, like, the dive mask off or have a switchable head so the...
or it's like peeled
the
back.
wetsuit thing is like a little collar piece you put on when you switch the head. Like, that could be really fun. And then Copperhead is like a swamp boat driver who could easily get a Tiger Force, or not a Tiger Force, a Python Patrol repaint at some point because he was a Python Patrol member. So there's a lot of guys. They're making smart choices, a combination of popular characters and repaintable characters. So we know there's going to be at least another year of the line. I mean, all the stuff that's pre-ordered now will be out in a year, and then these guys will be out the year after that. So we know it's going for a while, but it's great. It's great to see the brand doing so well. If only we could get some true media support.
Yeah, we can do better than the movie.
We can do better than Snake Eyes Origin.
Yeah. Do an animated movie. You know what they should do? They should get the people who make all this great DC.
Yes, for sure. That's what they should do.
Right. All the great Batman and...
It would be so much better.
Yeah.
Like, G.I. Joe is just perfect for animation.
Yeah. If they started doing, like, one shot, like the Red Hood and all of those, that would be unbelievable. And they could throw that in Walmart.
Yep.
And people would buy it at not just streaming.
Right.
But if you saw that, if you saw...
Oh, I'd buy the physical media.
You'd buy it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe someday Hasbro will have its own streaming service and need more content.
Oh my God. I was so happy with Hub when like G.I. Joe Renegades and stuff came out and it just didn't...
They had their own little network for a little while.
Go. And you know, we get Transformers.
Yeah.
On Netflix, but G.I. Joe's a hard sell.
Maybe if the movie had performed, then that would have been like the next step is, you know, more media.
I think it'd be better off. It's these like because think about how much cheaper it would be to make one of those.
Right.
They put multiple of those out every year.
Yeah. No, the DC. I mean, I don't know if DC's still doing them, but 5 years ago, DC was cranking those out under the Red Hood and Son of Batman and all that, and they were fantastic. That was like my favorite Friday night. Was like Chinese food and one of those new, when it was brand new DVDs. Watch it for the first time. Loved it.
So good.
I would love to do it again with G.I. Joe stories. That'd be great.
Yeah. So that's the take home.
Hasbro, I hope you're listening.
Right.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging on the peg with us.
We are waiting for the Dark Souls of fighting games. Let us have it. We're ready.
Soul Edge has nothing on a lightsaber. Like, I'm sorry.
James Earl Jones comes back.
No!
Oh no! Oh!
I don't think kids trade games anymore.
I need that sense of accomplishment, and it wasn't there. And I think that was a major flaw.
The way they engineer these is just phenomenal.
As much as you're into like the comics, I was very into the toys, so I was on like the message board all the time.